What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented by Skymint, premium cannabis, inspiring all of us to do better, feel better, look better every damn day, mostly feel better, and perhaps get a better seed in the Big Ten tournament, whatever it might be. Skymint can help with all of that. And our Sunday night show, brought to you by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Visit gomuskox.com to check out their latest line, their spring flannels, all that good stuff. I just ordered the Grand Flannel Tangerine. You may look at me and say, fat guy, not going to look great in tangerine. I'm telling you right now, I am going to look great in a Muskox Grand Flannel Tangerine. You too can own the Grand Flannel Tangerine. Go to gomuskox.com. You can use the promo code CAW15 for $15 off. Jason, how you doing, brother?
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
Yeah, I'm wearing the Muskox flannel right now, and I feel like since we only have the show 3 days a week, every video of us is I have the Muskox flannel. But tangerine, I think that's going to be a good color on you.
I'm hopeful. I mean, it's a tangerine and blue. There's multiple colors. If
really?
And
a blue?
Yeah, it's a checkered. If there was just tangerine, I'm not so sure how it would look on me, because like when I have like a anything that's orange or taupe or whatever, it's not usually
what
flattering.
Taupe?
I don't know. Taupe. Is that a word?
You made up a color? Or what
No,
is that?
taupe is a color. It is a color.
What color?
Taupe.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So there's that.
Man, I'm jealous. I think I have to up my game and get a new flannel then.
Yeah. Maybe they have a taupe. See how you look at it. I think this is gonna be a fun show for a few reasons. One, there's been a lot going on here today. It's been an eventful freaking day.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna dig into all of it. And then later, one of our listeners who talked a big game, Andy Schofield, about the Rube's ability to read questions, is gonna come on.
Schofield's coming in.
And
right?
we're going to make him read some questions, see how it goes, and we'll talk about him. We're going to do about 10 with him later on in the show and just see how it.
And by the way, he wasn't wrong. You know, I do suck at reading sometimes, but
right.
2 hours of this shit. See, the thing is, he's only going to read a few of these, right? Like, you have to do a whole show, be entertaining, and do it, you know?
I tried to give him a couple of the longer ones. Maybe I didn't
appreciate
edit
that.
Maybe I didn't edit everything I could have. You know, little things like that.
Throw like an ampersand in one of the sentences to throw them off.
I mean, most of them are edited pretty well, but there are a couple I was like, you know what? I'll leave this abbreviation. This is one that usually stumps Jason. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, we'll.
Well, that's going to be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think that. I thought he was just bullshitting. Like, he wanted to come down here, ask the address of the place, and he wanted my phone number. I'm just like, oh, come on, this is a bit or something. But hey, man, if you're going to show up, props to you. It'll
Absolutely,
be fun.
absolutely.
Under the hot lights.
Yeah. As always, we dig into our hot takes and then yours. And so, Jason, do you want to start?
You go. I got a football one to start, so I know you want to start with hoops.
Okay,
probably.
I will start with hoops. And it's been an eventful day. And I don't know what sort of blessed karma thing Michigan State had going today. Maybe it was the fact that Rutgers was unwilling to budge on moving the Minnesota game to help Michigan State get that game in. Maybe it was the Big Ten not having a commissioner and unwilling to make that happen. Maybe it's the fact that, in the grand scheme of things, a game against Minnesota that was postponed because of a shooting really isn't that all important, But every domino fell today that Michigan State needed to happen to wind up as a top 4 seed. And as we speak, and as we're doing this show, and we'll update you. I mean, obviously, we don't like to do a ton of live stuff but right now, it looks like Northwestern is going to beat Rutgers, which would make Michigan State the 4 seed, as far as I know. Yeah, the 4 seed on Friday. So they won't play till Friday.
Breaking news then? So all the things they needed went right today then?
Everything except Rutgers beating Northwestern.
Okay.
But everything else happened to this point. Nebraska beats Iowa. The last-second shot from Penn State to beat Maryland. Illinois' comeback being thwarted at the end. And there's, I do have a hot take on that. That's sort of an offshoot of all of this. There's an argument to be made that if it was negligence, too strong a word, but if that's your argument that Michigan State should have had another big man with all these great guards that we're seeing shoot the piss out of the ball right now, there's an argument to be made that Matt Painter and Purdue, knowing they had Zach Edey, knowing what they probably thought he should develop into, should not have let themselves have a freshman backcourt. Because those two kids against Illinois in the second half pissed their pants a little bit. And I'm telling you right now.
But I'd take that backcourt to have a big guy, maybe.
Maybe, but I'm just saying to win 6 in a row in March, that with those two guards, freshmen, I'm not sure that's going to happen for Purdue. And I'm just saying that the same argument that could be made that Michigan State did not have enough on the interior, enough known, could have been made about Purdue. Now that's a whole different issue. Maybe Purdue didn't know they were going to be this good or all that stuff. Anyway, that's a secondary story. But the main hot take, though, is everything right now seems to be falling into place for Michigan State. Rarely does it feel like things have been too good to be true for this team. All of the seeding stuff happened well for them for the Big Ten tournament. And at the very end, they are shooting and playing offense at a different level than they have all season. And, you know, what's interesting is never did I think this team would be dangerous because of its offense. All year I thought they got veteran guards, maybe they'll have poise late. They got enough scoring. They got enough playmakers. They can beat you in a rock fight that isn't completely ugly. But it's not going to be a high offense, high octane game. That's not their game. They're going to be a great defensive team. They're going to be in every game late. Michigan State basketball is all of a sudden dangerous because of its offense and mostly its shooting. I mean, when you look at the number of guys, including A.J. Hoggard, who's shooting a decent percentage from 3 in Big Ten play, when you look at what they're getting from Jaden Akins, and obviously they're the guys that have been shooting well for a while, and Tyson Walker and Joey Hauser, they have been able to overwhelm opponents offensively at times, which is something I did not see from this team happening at all. And a lot of it has to do with Jaden Akins, and it's just one more guy that becomes too much for other teams to deal with, shooting and scoring and playing with that sort of confidence at that level. And I know he is limited in what he does in terms of spot-up shooting and all that, and he's been making a decent clip all season. I'm telling you, it looks different. It feels different. He moves without the ball different. He moves with it. He wants the ball. And opponents are having to make decisions about who they cover. And you can't guard a team with 4 good shooters on the floor. You can't do it. Not a team that moves it well. Not if A.J. Hoggard is playing well. And all of a sudden they become incredibly interesting. It is, on the wrong day, these guys could still lose to absolutely everybody.
Still Ohio State. They're complete ass. Yeah,
I'll say this, though. Ohio State, you go back and watch that. They hit some shots that they don't usually hit. They hit some tough, guarded shots. That defense was not as bad as sometimes the stats made it out to be. They've had some teams hit some shots on them in the last few games, and they've won it because their offense was good enough to overcome those sort of things. They beat Ohio State a very different way than they beat Ohio State the first time. And I don't know. I just think
it's frustrating with Sissoko just to know that if he could just produce just a tad, we're not asking for a lot more. 50% more production, no. Maybe 20% more production out of him and to actually be scary. Because I think I would start to believe it, Graham. And I know Maddie had 7 rebounds, and when I saw the stat line, I'd be like, fuck, he's going to get credit for that because Kohler didn't look good at all. But I just don't. Every time he's in the game, it just drives me nuts. So
that's going to be the way it is all year.
They should have. I don't know. They should have blown Ohio State out, though, the way they were playing. It was really never in doubt. It was a well-played game, but I went away. It took really nothing away from it, though. I mean, A.J. Hoggard's playing a lot better, so I guess I'm lying. I took something away from it. I like seeing his stat line, too. So it's just weird. I just don't know what to do anymore. Like, to root, talk. You can't talk shit. You just need to wait for these Big Ten games. You just need, like, the zeros to hit all 0, especially if you're gambling on them.
So you had 6.5, them to win by 6.5.
I faded this game. I didn't want it on my card. I didn't want it to ruin my day. I was going to have a great day, so I just faded it and watched. I'm maturing, Graham.
Yeah.
Except for gambling on golf today.
This team was always that happened to me. Everybody's talking about how great Liverpool looked. Well, some of us had Manchester United, right? Who gave up all the goals. I've thought this team was going to be interesting in the postseason for a long time, just because while I didn't know if they'd finish with great poise and all that, I thought They get away from the Big Ten. They got a lot of veterans. They got a number of different options. But you talk about playing your best basketball at the right time and finding it and all the stuff that's come together. And granted, some of the opponents they played, the schedule has softened. But you can argue that worked out better for them. Better than to be in those fights, to go through all that heartache, to deal with all the stuff you had to deal with in January and early February, and then play opponents that defensively don't challenge you in the same way, that allow you to get rolling a little bit offensively maybe. But a lot of that is them. And when you score 80 points, I mean, they didn't score 80 points forever, and now they can't stop scoring 80 points, right? I mean, it's just a totally different team. We're going to get into a bit. I'm going to wait till, unless this is one of Jason's hot takes, I'm going to wait until the listener hot takes to get into who might be coming back, players and stuff like that, because I have some opinions on who might be coming back and how that impacts the team and all that stuff. So we'll get into that with the listener hot takes. What is your first one?
What a tease there. I saw this news, I think it was this morning, but Brandon Jordan leaving for Seattle. Now, good for him. Now, Graham, I don't know about recruiting and all these guys that are coming in, but what I did see is that he was bringing in Michigan guys to come to East Lansing's, to Michigan State's campus. And I don't think you need to know what that kind of means, right? These guys are, despise each other and they're coming in because they like Brandon Jordan. I don't know what the money, I know he wanted to go to the NFL, and I totally understand that, but I would like to know what kind of money he took for the Seattle job. And I just think it's bigger. I know fans are freaking out, but I don't know to what extent. Is it a big deal? Should we be concerned with that?
No, it's the NFL dream. If he had left for another school, and I think
it's good for him. I'm talking about for Michigan State. It's kind of a bummer, man.
It's not ideal. Yeah. They got him for a while. We'll see if there's any impact in recruiting in that. Any of the guys that they just signed, how much that he played a role, and those guys are still signed. How many guys that have already committed or are, in the they're in the mix for do commit. There's no doubt it would have been good for a guy like that to have for a whole nother cycle. Would have been incredibly important, right?
And for the national landscape, you need to compete with the Alabamas and the top 5, Georgias and all that. You thought that guy could maybe bring in some, 5-star recruits that Michigan State's been lacking in past years. So, even if you don't know recruiting, you saw what he was kind of doing with guys and everything on Twitter and social media, how much they love the guy. So it's kind of a bummer.
Credit to Mel Tucker thinking outside the box with that hire, and you have to think that he did it once. I mean, that's his job. His job is to replace.
But did he leave because of the dream, or was it Michigan State being cheap, or what?
Nobody I've talked to or anything I've heard, it was Michigan State. Now, he was not making huge money, but he did not leave for other college jobs, and there were other college jobs that wanted him. Yep. And so you get to the NFL, and it's a different kind of dream. I'll tell you who got off the hook here. Our friend Ryan Black, who used to work at the LSJ.
Yeah.
He sat down with Brandon Jordan right before he left, and he had never filed that story. And I've been on his ass like once a month since. At some point, man, because he's still in the company, you got to file that story. We need it before recruiting or before the signing day. How about spring football? Now there's no point. He gets bailed out.
Restraining order out for you or something like.
Yeah, at a certain point, I could tell
house.
Ryan would just like ghost me for a little while. I'm like, yeah, he's a little tired of me.
Do that thing where you're like, hey man, how's it going? Act like you're interested in their day. Oh yeah, by the way, what's up with that column?
Yeah, it's a great. But he had a one-on-one. Did a lot of digging. A great story, ready to go. And I was like, man, just
start your own website, Ryan Black.
Just a killer. Well, yeah, no, it's absolutely.
I don't know what that would do.
Absolutely brutal. Yeah, we'll get more into the. There's some hot takes on the Brandon Jordan thing. We'll get more into here in a little bit. I'm going to do – this might be my first MSU hockey hot take.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right.
Banner night for MSU hockey. Just beat Notre Dame to advance in the Big Ten tournament for the first time ever. They won their first game in the Big Ten tournament yesterday in a best-of-3 series with Notre Dame. Won tonight, was down 1-0, won 4-2 on the road, whole series on the road. And they're going to be right on the cut line. I don't know if this alone is enough to get in the NCAA tournament. Probably not where the pairwise standings are. But they go to Minnesota next week. Obviously, you win there, you vault up. But regardless, like this season now, I mean, I think this season gave this program juice no matter what happened in this weekend because you could feel it at Munn. It was different. The way they played was different. But now there is something tangible that happened different. Not just, boy, when you were there, you could tell it was a different brand of hockey. Yeah, they won a few more games, but they had some okay seasons in terms of wins and losses. Yeah, they scored more. They did something they haven't done in a decade. They haven't done since the Big Ten started. That's how bad MSU hockey has been. They went on the road. They went anywhere, and they won a postseason series. And they looked like the better team at times. They certainly looked like they belonged. And that is something that carries over. That is a step that's taken. And they were on the fact that in their final weekend, they will be playing for an NCAA tournament bid because they beat Minnesota, even though that's not the automatic bid. They're definitely going to be in. I'll be interested to see where the pairwise rankings are after this. My guess is they're a little bit on the outside. You got to be in the top. Really, I think it's going to take being in the top 15 to get in the 16-team field because there is an auto bid to a league that's not going to have a team ranked that high. Anyway, it's been a kind of a fun season to watch that group be reinvigorated. It's been fun to watch our readership and the fan base be reinvigorated. I was looking at the number of people reading the initial story by Nate Bott, who is down in South Bend. We haven't had that many people read an MSU hockey story. I'm talking like we can see it in like 10-minute intervals, almost real time, since I've been there. I mean, we could have – Pewamo Westphalia cross country was outdoing the readership for MSU hockey for like a 5-year span. If we had
offense to Pewamo, I guess.
If we had just put one writer on Pewamo Westphalia cross country, I don't even know if they have a cross country team. It's a small school, but you get my point. It was not. It was tough. It was hard for me to believe there was actually an audience and a fan base, and we're seeing it come back. And I think that's fun for people to cover it. I know I feel good for people who've been long suffering MSU hockey fans, and you feel good for a program that's been waiting for this moment for a long time.
Should people be interested, though, if they're not good? If they're not good, I mean, I'm sure there was people that still supported MSU hockey, but is it really surprising that when you start doing well, people really enjoy what you're doing, right?
Yeah, the difference with MSU hockey, what happened is they got so bad for so long, there was an apathy that clicked in. Yeah. So you don't even get the hate read. And you'd get that occasionally on the overarching stuff, but it's not. You
need a Monterez to cover MSU hockey.
Well, it's not as intense a fan base as football, where when they're really struggling, people are mad and they're there. That's just not hockey. I mean, people can say it was a hockey school, it's the toughest ticket in town, and all that's true. It is not. It never has been a fan base that is.
But I'm saying, as a sports fan, I just don't get why you have to keep supporting a program if they're just in the middle of something or whatever. They're shit. Like the Tigers. I love the Detroit Tigers with all my heart here. But if they're going to be asked this year and win maybe 35 ball games, I'm not going to sit through every game for 4 hours. So.
You don't. A lot of people have come back this year. And I know season ticket holders that were walked away in the last few years and just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And there were some times, a couple moments that Danton looked like, they had something going a little bit, but it didn't take. And, obviously the pandemic didn't help that stuff, but they weren't moving like this. What Adam Nightingale has done in 1 year is impressive. There's no doubt about it. What is your second hot take?
I'm sick of the NFL draft and Aaron Rodgers talk. I don't know how these guys do it on ESPN all day and talk this shit. Graham, how many days do we have left until the NFL draft? April what? The end of April. We're in the barely middle of March. And we have to sit there every day and hear. Listen, I like Detroit Lion news, but all it is just agents trying to position their guys up the draft. I just mock drafts, all about 7-round mock drafts. Not just Mel Kiper, by the way. Just random dudes on Twitter have a 7-round fucking mock NFL draft. That's scary because most of them are doing it for free. But I'm just saying, and Aaron Rodgers, if he comes back to Green Bay, if he's going to the Jets, it's taking over my morning television, Graham, and I don't like it.
Here's the thing. That's why we do this show.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. If we had to talk the NFL draft that's what
every
I'm saying,
fucking
though.
day. Yeah.
The premise of this show, all these national shows, and look, they've done it. I mean, even the shows in Detroit, man, they talk NFL constantly, and you're on. And I know they must do the metrics and the research that says this is what people want, and it drives audience, I guess. But what I always wanted from this show, because especially when we were doing 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, not a lot of time to listen to other podcasts. I always thought if you were a Michigan State fan, a Big Ten fan, and you had time for one podcast, we would be the one that would sort of cover it all for you. We would do whatever we thought might be on your mind, and we would, we'd hit all the Michigan State stuff. But if there were big national stories, we'd sort of hit them. We do it all one shop stopping for the And that
but
was
what are the metrics for radio stations, though? I mean, do you trust a program director in
Oh, hell no.
2023 for a radio station?
Radio stations lie their asses off.
Talk to the Lions and NFL draft all day long. It's like at some point you just get sick about all of it and just droning on, and it's just.
If you're advertising on radio, give me a call. Advertise with us because you are just wasting your time at this point. No, I probably shouldn't say that out loud. Fix that in post if you would. We still have some connections to that stuff. Anyway, okay.
Sorry.
Third hot take.
It's a late take day.
Yeah. Third hot take from me. Michigan basketball might not deserve to be in the NCAA tournament, but they are one of the top 35 teams in the country. And
that's sad.
And I don't think it's that close. What I mean is that there are very few teams that in the country, there aren't that many teams that can get going like they can have spells like they can. When you lose games at Illinois and Indiana on the road in overtime in the same week, you outplayed your opponent. We know how Vegas works. You get points for being on the road. The home crowd, they may only give you 3 or 4 points. Home crowd in college basketball is worth 5 to 10 at least. So when you go to overtime, you've outplayed your opponent. You are beating really good teams. Now, they have a problem finishing games, and that's going to send them to the NIT probably. And there are other teams where that's happened, and I'm okay with a world where resume, in terms of instead of best teams versus resume, is what sends you. That's fine to me. And I want teams that deserve it at the mid-major level and all sorts of levels to get their opportunity. But Michigan basketball is a team that could absolutely make a run in the NCAA tournament. Now, maybe they can't finish a game, and that could be just part of their DNA at this point. But that is not an NIT team in terms of quality. And here would be my thing, Jason. I'm going to see what you think of this. I do wonder sometimes in college basketball if, like, you're able to grow into a season enough. That's a team with 2 freshman guards out of their 3 and a sophomore that didn't get it done for 2 months and then had that game where they shit the bed against Central. And that's going to happen when you have freshman guards a lot. Now, it didn't happen for Purdue. It doesn't always happen. But I wonder if there isn't a team that, if there weren't some way you could say you have the option. We're not going to have our first 2 months judged till January, but we don't get any of the credit for it either. And we have to say so ahead of time. I got freshman guards this year. I want our resume only to be January and February. And I don't even know if that would be squarely enough for Michigan. It would be a lot closer. But then if you went on a tear, you don't get credit for those games either that you win. But I do wonder in terms of a team that has got young guards that can't grow into a season, if we truly evaluate, if it's really fair to take a team with young guards and look at them from November and December and evaluate them. And we've been doing it forever. And I know most people are like, fuck this guy, fuck this podcast, or Michigan State fans. I don't want to listen to this anymore. But every time I've watched Michigan in the last 2 weeks, I've thought that's a really good basketball team. And yeah, they've got some problems finishing. They're a little snake bitten. That is not an NIT team. I've seen NIT teams for a long time. That ain't one of them.
But should they have more? I mean, is it coaching or is it the players? I mean, some of those the play calls out of timeouts by Juwan Howard,
yep.
Either the players are really fucking up or it's terrible the way they're drawing up plays. Because it's why, especially at the end of that game today against Indiana, I was like, that's what you call a timeout for that play?
No question. And you know, there's
and it seems like it's that every time you watch Michigan, they have a good team. You want to live bet them, but you're just like, they can't finish. And I think it's maybe because of coaching.
And somebody sent me a tweet today, a response that said, if you just took Nebraska's schedule of late, they wouldn't be very far from where Michigan is either. And Nebraska had a tough schedule and a lot of injuries and tough first 2 months. So what I'm saying, there's probably an asinine way. I'm just saying when you have a team that's got a lot of youth in the backcourt and they're judged in those first 2 months, there's a lot of years where they're going to be judged really harshly, and there's a lot of ground to make up for. And I don't know if that's – and, again, there's no great way to do it. I'm just saying I feel a little bit for Michigan because I wish we just cut this part out because I do feel like a lot of our audience is like –
You're a big Dickinson guy?
Yeah, I didn't say that. I like Bufkin a lot. I like some of their pieces, and I think it's a really good team that is unfortunately snake bitten for them. And after this week, outside of getting to Sunday, I'd say maybe they're not. They're in the
But are
NIT.
people saying that Michigan is kind of sneaky good because of Dickinson? I mean, Dickinson is an elite player.
He's good, but no, their guards have gotten a lot better. That's what's happened. I mean, Kobe Bufkin has become an elite college player, and Doug McDaniel, a pretty good college point guard. And these were things that weren't necessarily true in November and December is what I'm saying. So that's all it is. It's just they've evolved, but they had so much ground to catch up, and there was a lot of pressure on them in these games, and that's the reality of sport, and that's fine. And look, they've had their opportunities, and they haven't been able to finish. And Juwan Howard, I think, is part of that. I don't think they've finished games well. I don't think today was another example where I thought, some of that falls on him, but some of that's just you get a little snake bitten. And there have been teams throughout the years, a lot of places that becomes part of your DNA, and it's hard to get out of. What's your third hot take?
Shout out to Weather Chief Chris Eastlick for trying to shit on people's weekends, Graham. Got a little bit of snow. My question is this. Why do we always lose? Why do certain people lose power all of the time, even if the storm isn't that bad? I listened to the Drew and Mike podcast. They're down in Detroit. DTE seems like one of the worst companies of all time. They publicize, they do advertising on there, and they give you $34 or something if you've been out without power for 90 days. My question is, you're going to lose power. So shouldn't we look into this or something? After we fix the damn roads, maybe we look at the grid or whatever smart people know about with electricity.
I mean,
if you live down there, you'd have to get a generator, right?
Well, certain places always lose more power. Like my mother never lose power because she's on the same grid as a hospital, right? And that stuff's like set to go.
Okay.
And
neither do we in Ovid. I don't know what grid we're on.
You must be on the great Ovid grid. Somebody got paid off there.
I don't stop
know.
Grid.
I don't know. It's Eastlick's fault. It's clearly
absolutely. Thanks for shitting on our weekend, Chief.
Eastlick chimes in because I had some tweets about the weather, and we'll get into those in a little bit. I do have one more hot take. I'd like to
a bonus
hot take, so to speak. Did you see the Draymond Green video explanation of how the Warriors guarded Russell Westbrook?
I did not have the sound up on it, but I saw he was leaving Russ wide
open.
Yeah.
Wide. It's the most underrated defense in college basketball, and I wish more teams would do this. And it's not just sagging off a player; it's not guarding them
wide open.
It's not because sagging off is like this is tricky, whatever. Sagging off. It's like no. I'm in the paint. I'm dealing with the other dudes. You can't score anywhere outside the paint, and it's so insulting that it gets in your head. You rarely make good decisions. Unless you're really strong-minded, you're not going to make threes. I won a Gus Macker game this way. Now, in a 3-on-3 tournament, it's brilliant, right? And I've often done this when I've been in a pickup game, and I've seen somebody who's a point guard who clearly can't shoot, but they're real quick. I'll say, I got them. People are like, what? Wait a sec, you're our biggest guy. Or this. No. Because I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the disrespecting, and it gets in their head. And with Russell Westbrook, it absolutely worked. And I just wish more teams, especially at the college basketball level, you don't think until now, like the way to guard A.J. Hoggard last year, not now, was like not to guard him. The way to guard Tum Tum Nairn, and I understand Tum Tum completely open at Moneyball, hit a lot of threes, but I also think things got in his head pretty easily sometimes in MSU basketball. Like it
has to.
The disrespect is such the sort of the mental game is so underutilized, and coaches don't realize how insulting it is. I often say, if you can't get to somebody to close them out, run away from them, because that's like, what the hell's going on? Don't run at them and sort of get there with your arm that gives them a nice arc. Turn the hell away and run the other way. I'm just saying, I saw Draymond Green.
Can you call Izzo right now and test that one out on him?
I just knew Draymond and I were of one mind as basketball minds, and when I saw that, I was like, this guy and me? But
how many players does it work on in the NBA other than Russ? That's the question I'd have for Draymond.
It would work on a few guards. There are guards who aren't great shooters.
Oh, no, I understand. I just want to know like a percentage of,
And I'm telling you, in a half-court game, if you're ever in a Gus Macker, it is the play. You find their worst shooter because they got to take it back. There's no full court. You just leave them open. They'll get so insulted, and they'll shoot themselves out of the game. It's
Little Rube rocketing the ball off a backboard.
Yeah, you got to
leave this guy open. Jesus.
All right, that's my bonus hot take.
Love it.
Yeah, no, I wanted to give people that. All right, you ready to dig into these listener hot takes?
Yeah, let's do it. Eric Schultz up first. Number one, the first purpose of the Big Ten tournament is to see if MSU can keep this up against a team that knows how to guard. 2, the second purpose of the Big Ten tournament is to see if Hoggard can continue to be that dude on a neutral court. 3, Anthony Richardson, closer to Joel Milton than he is Cam Newton. If the Lions take him at 6, it'll go down as their next spectacular blunder. Bonus. Graham missed a golden opportunity to give Jason so much shit on last week's show when Jason tried to do a Jeff Foxworthy impression and then backed out after he realizes it was going to go south. An hour 47 and 53 in.
Thank you, Eric. That was a classic moment.
If your lifetime goal is to own a fireworks stand, you might be a redneck. If you have spent more on your pickup truck than your education, you might be a redneck. No,
that's pretty good, actually. I'll give you some.
I don't know. It said it was ass, so I thought I'd try it.
I'm with him on Anthony Richardson. I am not a fan. I think I think he's a 6th round pick, not a number 6 pick.
Jesus, but he had a good combine.
Yeah, he missed some guys too. I don't know. I'm not a fan. I do not think he's a guy who sees it. I think he's Tum Nairn. That's as a quarterback.
I just love that he went from 80-1 to go number 1 overall to like 3-1.
Yeah, boy,
man,
somebody else.
That hype.
Somebody else. You want me to start second guessing the Lions brass? Draft that dude because it better work out. Because that's not even. Nope.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
Yeah, I don't care how much he's got of that. That would not be.
Graham Couch says he's a 6th round pick. We shouldn't take him. DeYuper. Well, what does Monterey say?
Oh, Dominic's next.
Oh, Dominic. Sorry, Dominic. Number 1, Graham. You can't passionately promise that the Michigan firing will be written about when the downplaying its juiciness. When it becomes clear, nobody will. No, I don't think executing the blue wall plan is literally discussed by the water cooler, but selective apathy counts. 2, if we're going to retain undeserving football staffers, then more of an effort should have been put into retaining Brandon Jordan. That's such a massive L for recruiting, and recruiting is what this whole fucking thing is being built on. 3, Graham's relationship with his mom is fantastic. The daily walks, the column editing, breaking down A.J. Hogarth's free throw line, body language. Love that you guys have that.
Appreciate you, Dominic.
And bonus, Graham, geographically.
Glad we got somebody else coming in to read them.
Is he here yet? Shaming people regarding the differences between West Lansing, Delta Township, and Lansing Township at 2 a.m. is peak Elon Twitter.
I just want people to understand that
What were you doing?
It was Chris Castellani was on there saying nothing was going on in West Lansing or something that night or whatever, and I was like, oh man, just give me a call. West Lansing's where it's at. And then somebody was talking
you
like
play Duck Duck Goose.
Somebody was talking about near the mall, and I was like, basically West Lansing ends at the Westgate Tavern. Everything else is like Delta Township and Lansing Township, and true Lansing is I'm the only Lansing snob. 2, Dominic's number 1 about the blue wall. We'll get into that a little later. There's some more takes on the blue wall and some good, there's some good discussion to be had on.
Would you run for mayor of Lansing?
I keep saying I would. Yeah, I would.
I got to say, I think you're more passionate than Andy Shore.
I would lose badly. I mean,
why?
Because there's something I don't understand. The one thing I do understand.
Trump can do it. I mean, you can be mayor.
I've had conversations with people who've been mayor. It's a hard job, and there's a lot I don't know. And
Verge,
there are a lot of things that I've talked to Verge about it. Yeah. And but I do love Lansing. Yeah, I do love Lansing, and I would love to go head to head with any Lansing mayor or candidate who lived on Moores River Drive. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow.
Because that to me is not. I think I could campaign on the south side of Lansing as somebody who doesn't live on Moores River Drive and get a lot of votes. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think you'd get a bunch of votes. DeYuper next. Number 1. When State had a 10-point lead with about 7 minutes left, I got a little too confident and switched chairs. I apologize to the team for risking the game like that. Fortunately, I moved back to my regular chair before it was too late. Won't happen again. 2, where are the NFL Combine prop bets? Huge missed opportunity. 3, the Major League Baseball pitch clock rules are ass. If Major League Baseball wants to attract new fans, they need to fix the blackout rules and learn how to market players.
These are the Hopcat hot takes of the day, presented by our friends, of course, at Hopcat with the best damn beer bar and world-famous Cosmic Fries, also giving generously to the Spartan Strong Fund right now. And unbelievable burgers, including the Peyton Thorne burger, which Jason and I have both had and loved. Great place to watch a game, including MSU hockey. Like at the East Lansing Hopcat, they've got a good group of people get together and watch MSU hockey games next week at Minnesota. Good time to get together with people and watch Michigan State hockey play at Hopcat. watch them try to beat the one of the top teams in the country. And as always, they do. Each location has carefully curated craft beer with local partners, so it feels like a local brew pub wherever you are, be it Indianapolis, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Detroit, East Lansing. You can go to hopcat.com to find the location nearest you, and the Uper will get a Hopcat gift card for his Hopcat Hop Takes of the day.
This guy's got to do a live read, too. Schofield.
So, are you superstitious? When you're watching the Lions ever, do you say, fuck, I moved?
No.
And now the team's not doing well?
I do with my parlays. We have a putting green inside the house, and I'll putt. And if I hit one in my Sky Mint-filled head, I will go, if I just hit one of these, my parlay's going to hit. I'm going to be 44 in April, by the way.
NFL Combine prop bets. I don't know if I jump on that. I don't know if I have enough information.
Talk to Harry.
Yeah, Harry would be all in on them. The pitch clock rules, I don't hate them because it's going to shorten the game. I do think they need to do things in conjunction with fixing the blackout rules. Like, to me, if you're baseball, you need to have the best of your product available to as many people as possible right now.
Exactly.
And they don't do that. And that's especially if it gets better because you shorten it, or it gets better because there are certain things you've done to tweak it. Make it available. Spend like 5 years saying, you know what? We're going to do some things with blackout rules and other things to try to get as many people watching our stars and our best players as possible. I think that's
it's like your guys are going to get your money at some point.
Yeah.
DMB next. Number 1, MSU getting 2 weekend home games since Christmas is comical. 2, this MSU team will go as far as Hogard takes them. 3, Tyson Walker coming back would 100% improve the team, but would leave an odd man out. Who cares? Izzo shouldn't cater to these kids' feelings. Clock's running out.
Yeah, I mean,
I like the cutthroatness of DMB.
Yeah,
number 3.
Walker is definitely, he's a proven dude, right, at this point. And it does get, like, teams need to change. They need to evolve. You need to make sure you're having the right conversations with kids in terms of roster construction. Well, Jaden Akins even, guys who are like, I want my role to be expanded as I get, more into my career. Certainly with Jeremy Fears Jr. So there are things that when people don't leave as maybe they were expected to leave, and I don't know 100% what Tyson Walker is going to do. I do think there's more than smoke with this, and I don't know if he's made a final decision. But I also don't think Izzo would have put him on the spot like that with one more year if he didn't think there was some real likelihood that Tyson Walker was coming back. And look, this is a rare advantage for Izzo to take advantage of the extra year that's available. This thing's not going to exist in college basketball, and you happen to have guys who aren't quite NBA guys but are college basketball stars willing to get a 5th year. I think NIL plays a role in this. My hunch is that Walker's doing okay from an NIL perspective, so that it's not like, hell, I'll just go to Europe and make $200,000. Because I think eventually Walker at the least is going to be somebody who makes a lot of money in Europe with his skill set and his style of play. He's exactly
how much
what they
does he
don't
want?
have over there.
200,000 ish. Get him on the horn.
Yeah, I don't know what he's making now, but
to have Tyson Walker come back, $200K. All right.
Yeah,
let's start playing the game. Let's do it.
There are some interesting. It'll be interesting to see. There are some dynamics that do get interesting because, part of when you recruit guys, they're thinking, okay, this guy's got one more year. I'm coming there, and then he's gone, and it's my turn. And so that stuff changes a little bit. But to DMB's point, you don't get these guys that often, and he's proven that. And I don't know what more he can do at the college level. I don't know what more his ceiling is. But if he wants to run it back just like he is, I think that's a pretty important piece for sure.
Matt next. Gun to my head. I would take Jaden Akins over Tyson Walker next year. Same shooting capabilities, taller, more athletic, same mentality. But don't get these recent Jaden Akins is transferring if Tyson Walker comes back takes.
Yeah, I haven't heard any of that. And I've talked to Jaden Akins' dad quite a bit this year. He and I, it seemed like the first 5 or 6 trips they were on, Jaden Akins' dad and I either wound up in the same hotel, same airport, on the same flight. Like, we had a lot of chats in Portland and Notre Dame and things like that. Nice guy, terrific guy.
He probably thinks you're like following him or something.
No,
he tried to story.
It was more the other way. At one point, I was like, "What's going on here?" There was one night.
Did you write something bad?
No, there was one night in the lobby at the hotel in South Bend after the game. It was me, Charbonneau, Solari, and Jaden Akins' dad just having beers and shooting shit.
Jaden Aiken's dad.
Yeah, we had a good time. He's got an interesting story himself and everything. And some point, we'll write it. But he's a level-headed dude, and you can tell Jaden Aikens is, and his dad is. Like, this is not. I mean, there are players who come from places where you wonder what sort of advice they're getting, what sort of patience they have, what sort of reasonability they have in their ear. And I'm not saying Jaden. I don't know 100% what Jaden thinks, but there's no conversation I've ever had with Jaden Aikens that leads me to believe he is unhappy at MSU. Do I know what's going on? No. But he plays a ton of minutes. He's going to play a ton of minutes last year. His role might evolve anyway. I mean, you think about this year, the team was formed without him, really, because he was injured. And then he had to come back and sort of find his place. If he doesn't get hurt at all, and I'm talking September, October, all those practices, and because they really thought he was going to be one of their headliners all the way through. This whole thing might look a little different. His role on things might be a little different. And his role is increased late, but they had to build the offense. They had to build the team without him. And that, as long as he's healthy, won't be the case next year. And so I think that'll change as well. I would be surprised. Now, Aikens over Walker. Aikens is certainly their best NBA prospect of the guys on the team right now, I think, in terms of NBA ceiling. I mean, he's not there now, but he's 6'4". He's an athlete. I think he'll be a guy who can handle the ball. He can defend. I mean, Walker's just not that big, right? So, that's not an out of this world take to say that Aikens would, if you had to have one or the other, you would want him. That said, I don't think it has to be a one or the other situation.
Matt C. apparently is a different Matt. Number 1, the only player I want to come back is Walker. Having a 4-guard rotation will be lethal. This way, if one is having an off night, you can actually bench them. Izzo already complained about Hogarth's minutes. 2, Cohen Carr can take all of Malik Hall's minutes.
You don't want that. I mean, you want Cohen Carr to be able to show out and be a lot of fun to watch. You don't want pressure on the kid. And what Malik Hall is going to give you next year, presuming he comes back, is seasoned, savvy guy who can deal with good players, can deal with pressure, and if he screws up, knows how to have it on his shoulders and has been there before. You want a Malik Hall on that team with those guys, especially with, I think Malik Hall is more important to next year's team than Tyson Walker, given who Michigan State's personnel is and where they're going to be young and where they're going to be missing guys. I think Malik Hall, healthy all year, and he, Malik Hall is going to be motivated if he comes back to have the type of year that he wanted to really have this year, to elevate his game, to show that he is an NBA prospect, like Hauser is probably a fringe NBA prospect. I don't know if Malik Hall can ever get there. Malik Hall, to me, to this point, has been a jack of all trades, master of none, and that does not work with the NBA. But is he a guy who has a great offseason and becomes a 44% three-point shooter where at his height that becomes interesting to the NBA, right? Like an Isaiah Livers type. I don't know. But I do think that Malik Hall is incredibly important to next year, and as much as Cohen Carr is going to be fun to watch, and I think a really good player eventually, freshmen are still freshmen, and you only get so far relying too heavily on them.
Chris Eastlick, boo, is next. Number 1, Graham's winter storm tweet about the Storm not being that bad went about as well as the field goal at the end of the Indiana game. Still love you, buddy. 2, do agree with Graham's take that we should be able to adjust to and live with snow better, at least with smaller storms. We deal with it every year. And 3, as much as it's exciting watching MSU drain threes like the Warriors, I am concerned about the sustainability. At some point, we're going to go cold. We are going to go cold.
Yeah, obviously there's going to be a game where they don't shoot as well. Now, the one thing they've got going is a number of dudes who can hit. And the ideal situation is, because you've got that, you're never going to have a game where everybody's cold at once. But yeah, you're going to have to lock in, and there's going to be a game at some point, and you'd prefer it in the Big Ten tournament where it's not your last game, or potentially your last game, where you're going to have to lock in and win an ugly game defensively and do some things because it just didn't work for a while, and hit some threes late and show some gumption in the final minutes. I thought that was important against Ohio State a little bit because, the last couple games, the Nebraska game and Ohio State game, they've been challenged mentally and character-wise a little bit. After what happened at Iowa, after what happened at the end against Michigan, they had a situation where I was talking to Izzo about this with A.J. Hogard, and that conversation in the office outside the locker room at halftime, where Izzo basically asked, or just kind of looked at Hogard and said, "What do you think?" And Hogard said, "I fucking sucked in the first half." And Izzo didn't undress him, didn't take him to school, anything. He just said, "Okay." And
we're dropping MFers now?
Hogard basically said, "I'm going to fix this." And he had a great second half. And then against Ohio State, even though they didn't play great, it got dicey enough at the end that they had to deal with that, right? And they did. And I think those are important things for this team, to deal with. We saw teams today not deal with dicey moments late all that well. And it never got incredibly dicey, but I thought that was a promising sign. To Chris's earlier points, I don't know, the weather.
What's your tweet about the winter storm?
I got a little fired up. One of my pet peeves, we live in Michigan. We choose to freaking live here.
Yeah.
I don't like when we cancel shit because of the weather. Obviously, occasionally it's hard to do something. Sometimes we don't do the show because of the weather, and I get all that makes sense.
It's my favorite day.
But sometimes oh no, the weather's coming. Of course the weather's coming. We live in Michigan. It's freaking February.
Well, let's go to Kroger.
Then let's not schedule anything. Maybe we need to put every high school basketball game needs to be Friday or Saturday. And if there's a little bit of weather, maybe we don't schedule. Maybe weddings need to be Friday or Saturday. Maybe everything needs to be, maybe we travel this day. Maybe we don't. Maybe it's tomorrow. I don't, you live here, and so there had been a number of boy who cried wolf weather moments this
But I'm still complaining about the weather.
Right. But I didn't know that it was going to, and almost as soon as I tweeted it, it was like the actual snow was coming down. I'm like, shoot, this one's for real. My bad. And
sad that I missed it.
It was not my most mature tweet.
Rubed it.
Sure. Yeah, I rubed it.
Big Red next. Number one, the worst thing about COVID is what it did to the perception of Izzo. If he made the 2020 Final Four, people would not be on his ass so much this season. It feels like we haven't made a noise in a while, but that COVID year was only 3 seasons ago. The year before that, we made the Final Four. Give him a break. That Izzo's burner.
Yeah, this is
Big Red. Big Red Izzo.
That's not even his full name, but I think it was something. I don't say inappropriate. Just said that's a Big Red something. It's anyway.
Big Red.
I didn't even need to say it because now everybody's going to look it up, or I should have just put it in there. It's not even that bad. There's no doubt, though, and I think we're all aware of this. If the 2020 year happens, the postseason, and they make a run, that it changes the vibe about things. Because that would have been 2 Final Four. Say they got to a Final Four, even if they didn't win it all, to be at back-to-back Final Fours would have felt
But he stuck to his guns and didn't get a transfer. I know people are sick about hearing about it, but that's why he's getting shit this year. I mean, people still love Izzo. I know that they're allegedly is the Fire Izzo crowd, but I just don't see them that often. I just think you can give Izzo shit.
I think
for some things this year. I think he's okay with that as long as you're a rational person.
100% fair criticism, but this is more the perception of
he took a gamble.
Things are fading versus he screwed that up.
Yeah,
right. I mean, because the other thing that's interesting about this season, I am going to look at some things this week in a column, is if you pace some other teams' Big Ten schedules, they place Michigan State over some other teams' Big Ten schedules, playing Minnesota twice and some other things that happened. Michigan State is in second alone by pretty easily, I think. And does that change a little perception of this year even? I mean, it's obviously not a bubble year, but it was, it would, I think, throughout the year would have felt a little different than when it felt like they were really struggling. The other thing I give this team a little bit of credit for is it feels like every time they've had a back against the wall moment when they've really had to win, they've done it. And that's something that, I think is to be commended and is another decent character trait.
Professor next. Number one, there should be a ban on discussing bracketology until March 1st each year. Bonus, picking up your groceries is the only way to live. It's awesome.
It's the best.
But every once in a while, young people are doing it, so you get some stuff left out. But, the alternatives of having to be in there.
Yeah, some of the replacement stuff where you don't want. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's better than having it delivered. I like picking it up because then you get the one-legged things and some embarrassing situations
and you laugh.
I did not laugh. I was mortified. I didn't want It was like an Army veteran with a one leg, in the cold delivering my groceries, and here's able-bodied me.
But they signed they signed up for it. They knew what they were doing. You didn't see someone on the street like, hey, help me with these groceries.
Yeah, right. No,
I don't know.
I'd be up bracketology. I don't know. Bracketology's fun though. I get it. I mean, the whole point is you don't find bracketology fun to look at
like
where
that,
people,
or like but they're doing it 2 months ago. Isn't that what he's talking about?
I think mid-February is probably an appropriate.
I mean,
time.
hell, March you can, but I think I agree. March 1st, I wouldn't be annoyed by it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Sports Guy 1919, number 1. Gambling is ass. Lost the MSU spread by a half point and Walker points by 1. 2. Fans foolishly thinking that one win or loss at this point in the season should move the resume dial greatly when it, in fact, shouldn't. A win in the Big Ten tournament should be the same as a win in January.
I think a lot of people lost on the half point. And I think people are still happy with this team, but I think that was a frustrating part of things. And some books you can
the
buy.
Iowa game, they didn't cover the 5.5.
Sometimes you can buy the half point, which I usually recommend. Some people don't like that because you're giving up some juice.
That juice is sometimes worth it.
The resume stuff people don't understand entirely. Like the Minnesota game did not wind up hurting Michigan State at all. Obviously, they're going to play in the bye to Friday, and beating Minnesota was going to do them at home zero value. So it wound up not hurting them at all. It's not just wins. It's not just the accumulations of wins. It's the quality and all of that.
Joshua next. Number 1. Izzo played Pierre Brooks yesterday to convince him to not transfer. Jason Whitens deserved those minutes. 2. Any sense on if Jaden Akins will transfer if Walker comes back? Akins deserves more of an expanded role next year, and I don't see that happening with Walker back. 3. Now that MSU has clinched the double bye, I can comfortably cheer against those fuckers at Rutgers. Karma's a bitch.
Yeah, no, the Northwestern beat Rutgers tonight too. So karma kept on keeping on there. The Pierre Brooks thing will be interesting, especially if Tyson Walker comes back and the guys they have coming in.
He's gone, right?
And it may be a mutual thing too. Like
right.
I think there's some frustration there, and it's not that Pierre Brooks is not like there are guys they want out of the program because they're trouble. He's not trouble. Like I've had these conversations with Izzo about him. He's a pretty self-aware kid. There's certain things he just hasn't done in terms of discipline and maturity and things like that, and taking care of himself. And I've always kind of hoped it would happen for Michigan State because I don't feel like he'll go somewhere else and that'll necessarily surely improve. Maybe it will, but sometimes the light comes on for these guys, and you never know when it's going to happen. And it's I don't know. Pierre is a guy I've had a soft spot for, and I've wanted to go well for him, and it doesn't seem like it is going to do so. Let's take a real quick break. When we come back, we'll have Andrew Schofield on, and
he's here.
He's here, and he's gonna show the Rube how to read, we'll read more of your hot takes. Couch in the Rube, presented by our friends at Skymint Premium Cannabis and Muskox High Quality Flannels.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? Medawar Jewelers' 4 locations by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage have the largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Medawar Jewelers. photos and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Meadowars by the Lansing Mall, by Meridian Mall, in Jackson and in Portage, and we'll help you find it.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, and our Sunday night show brought to you by our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels, which even make me and the Rube look decent, which is very hard to do. Go to gomuskox.com, and of course, you can use the promo code CAW15 for $15 off to get your flannel. So interesting segment. We're going to continue doing your hot takes now with one of you.
I'm out of here now.
Yeah. This week you're being
See
replaced.
you guys later.
Yeah, Couch and Schofield. One of our listeners, Andrew Schofield, and I don't even remember exactly how this started, but I believe Andrew.
He told me I sucked at reading questions, and he's not wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't say that, but I said, why don't you come in here and do it? And I didn't. Sorry, man. I thought you were just bullshitting. That was a bit. He's like, can I have your phone number? I'm like, no. But he's actually here.
I was testing it out because I live 45 minutes away, and I was like, I just want to make sure that on a Sunday night at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., that I'm not going to drive all the way.
That's fair.
Because I insulted you.
No, I've been insulted a lot. I'm the Rube on this show, so it doesn't matter. But I didn't know. I have got a lot of people that want to come hang out and all that stuff. So you never know, right?
Sure. No, I'm all business.
Oh, well, Andrew, I'm
excited.
We appreciate you coming on. How long have you been listening, by the way?
So I started listening maybe 2 years ago, and then I don't know what happened. Took a break for a while, and then the last couple months, I got back into it again.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
And you were at one point briefly an MSU football walk-on.
I was very the briefest possible. So I was not even a preferred walk-on. I was a walk-on, which they would have taken Jason. Anyone could show up. I talked to
another shot at Jason.
It's all right. He's right. Hasn't been wrong yet.
Pat Narduzzi, the assistant coach at the time, defensive coordinator, hit me up and just said that we were interested in having you try out. It was me and 15 other kids, and the tryout wasn't really based on even skill. It was just run a 40 and bench, and it was just that type of stuff. And then they accepted 4 kids. I wasn't one of them. And then a week later, they cut them all anyway.
Oh, really?
I think the reason they gave was that it was Coach D'Antonio's first year, so it was 2007, and they said that he had too much going on in his first year, so they said, sorry guys, let's come back in the winter.
Where did you play high school football?
I grew up in Kalamazoo, but I played high school football in northern New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grew up in Kalamazoo, though, so he's a man after my own heart.
Oh, shit. I guess I'll just leave.
Yeah, we're just going to do 20 minutes in Kalamazoo discussion. All right, so what we're going to do here, we're going to continue with these listener hot takes with Andrew reading, and then we will discuss, and we'll see how much better he is in the Rube.
Sure. All right. So some dude. This year's Spartans are the best 19-11 team in history of 19-11 teams. Number 2. When they put their best defensive performances together with their best offensive performances for the NCAA tournament, this team will be in the Final Four. Number 3, Seattle thinks BT Jordan is good at the shit he does, and putting him on staff is keeping him from training other NFL dudes. But can he come to East Lansing and still help us out? No conflict of interest there. Bonus take. Jason's reads are great. Fuck that dude from last week. That is, if Graham doesn't award him.
Well, he's here.
And these are the Hopcat hot takes.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we thought
that's not my burner, by the way.
No. Some dude is not you. Okay.
No.
Shoot, that doesn't. This year's Spartans are the best 19-11 team in the history of 19-11 teams. I mean, there have been a lot of snake-bitten teams that have had injuries, and so I doubt that's the case. I do think
sounds like a column, though.
I do think this is a team that is very different than the last two teams. There's just no bubble to them, really. Even when we were talking about the broad bet, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a it does feel like more than a 19-11 team. So I 100% get what you're saying there. I don't think Brandon Jordan's going to have like extra time to come to East Lansing, but I don't know. That maybe they'll do a summer camp. Maybe they'll still use that connection, and maybe there is a way to do that. I don't know how that works. I don't know. Were you disappointed when you saw that he was leaving?
Yeah, I think I didn't know what the ramifications was of it. I think the quick response to that would be like, why is he leaving? Is it something negative? But I don't know. I mean, the guy maybe wanted just to progress his career, and it's pretty natural for people to want to move on from things.
All right, well, you can read. That's a good sign. So
yeah,
glad, yeah.
I started this morning with Dr. Seuss books, and by the end of it was Pride and Prejudice. By the end of the day, so this has been a long warm up to this moment.
Holy smokes! Is that how you do your days, Jason?
Absolutely.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Bernstein Bears.
I don't know why I'm reading kids' books though. It's kind of weird.
Okay, then Spartan 1877-0. The fact that the Big Ten championship game is still on Sundays shows us that the conference cares more about money and exposure than better tournament seedings for their members. Number 2, elite pass rusher coach number 1, overrated quarterback whisper 0. Number 3, it's been a quarter century since a Michigan State student has failed to fill out an NCAA bracket without picking their school.
I feel like MSU does pick themselves more than most, but they've often been in the actual hunt. Jason, like,
this is great.
I hate the. Are you doing all right over there?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm just got my feet up.
Feet up, yeah. I do feel like, I mean, I hate the Sunday championship game. I hate it because it doesn't. If you want to take if you want to make the Big Ten tournament championship a serious game, like right here, Spartan 18770 called it the Big Ten championship game. It's not. It's the Big Ten tournament championship game. But you can't celebrate it because 10 minutes after it's over, confetti's just barely on the court. People are getting whisked away for the brackets. That's all people care about.
And the committee basically says that, we don't care about this game.
They don't care about it either.
They don't even factor it in.
There are times where it's a cool game, where it sort of, to me, it is the tiebreaker in a co-championship situation. But more often than not, there are teams that sometimes don't want to play. Like, I'm not sure how much Purdue wants to play 3 games in 3 days. Maybe they'll want to get playing better than they have at times, and they'll want to do it. But there are times, I've said this before, Cassius Winston absolutely wanted to check out his junior year, and when they were playing Ohio State in that quarterfinal, and Foster Lawyer hit too many threes, and they won the game anyway. But they were 100% happy having the Big Ten title, getting ready for the NCAA tournament, and as long as it's that, and that's okay too in some ways. But to me, outside of BTN and the Big Ten Conference, the offices, I do not. I just don't see it as a title at the same level as the regular season title.
That's you.
That's your cue. When I stop talking,
okay.
We're right to the next
Perfect.
guy.
All right. Alan McGee, number 1. Madi Sissoko will have a 12-point, 10-rebound game in the first round of the NCAA tournament. 6 points off lobs, 2 putbacks, and 2 free throws. Number 2, MSU's offense the last 4 games is the most modern NBA-style offense in the Big Ten. Space the floor with shooters, middle ball screens with a slashing guard, and a big man that is a lob threat.
It is a little bit of a different offense, and it's I think they found a little something. They wanted to do this more with a small ball lineup earlier in the year, and the injuries to Hall didn't allow them to do it. But it is a little bit modernized. I don't know if it's entirely different, but there is some stuff to it that is noticeably different. And the Madi Sissoko storyline, this is what Madi needs more than anything. Big postseason game. Like, Jason, all the stuff we're talking about Madi.
Yes.
If he has a 12-point, 10-rebound game where they win in large part because of him in the Sweet 16, you going to change your opinion?
Well, of course. Absolutely. I can be swayed, right? I don't want to shit out Sissoko, but, I mean, it's just when you see him in there, it just feels like Michigan State's just down a guy. I don't know.
Andrew, are you a Sissoko guy? What's your
I mean, he started the season so hot, but you made the point on one of the previous shows that maybe it's because there wasn't a scouting report on him. So the idea that there wasn't much to see on him, there wasn't much film on him. Then when teams figure out, what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, I think he's cooled off. So I guess that was a very political answer for me. But lately, I haven't been a huge fan of him. But I try to remind myself he's an amateur athlete, and I know they're doing what they can.
That's the thing, right? It's the he is a good guy thing.
That's
like
nice
I want,
guy shit.
I know.
Yeah,
But then I think, like,
we all know that, but
he's way better than us. So that's
well, yeah.
well, not Graham. Maybe not Graham.
Well,
from
no,
what I
he's
heard.
better than me. I mean, in certain ways, he's taller.
Okay, all right. Bo McJunkins. Number 1, Rainer Sabin's article is the latest piece of trash from the blue wall that doesn't exist. Forget that none of those Tuckers players are draft eligible. Providing context that could favor MSU is against the rules. Donovan Edwards still hasn't been to the museum, by the way. Number 2, there is no player that I'm ready to never hear from again than Hunter Dickinson. The dude flexes after making layups that my grandma could make and gets away with it with so much dirty shit. Number 3, Indiana couldn't close with a discount Vegas hooker. Bonus. Can't wait for the yearly tradition of picking Matt Painter to lose in the first weekend in the bracket.
Jason, you know a lot about discount Vegas hookers from your.
I just like
youth.
hearing someone else like saying stuff like that. By the way, Andrew, yeah, you have to have like a jail story and a hooker story. I hope you got one of those.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
At work all the time. Those are good to have on hand.
Try telling one in a Skymint parking lot.
It
Wasn't great.
Jason, what do you got from prison?
Yeah, on a microphone that's covering the parking lot on a speaker.
By the way, my wife was she told the full story this weekend about her jury duty and the murder that happened, and it was pretty serious.
She was
awful
doing the
murder.
Murdoch case.
No.
Murdaugh?
One in Lansing, and a guy who was like stabbed like 50 times. Really awful stuff, right? Former homeless guy who got stabbed, and just an awful person who did it, and all this stuff. But I did.
Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah, because now it's out. Now she did a whole presentation to me and her folks and another friend on everything that went down. As she was the jury foreman, but I did. This guy for a long time was in the Ingham County Jail. Were you when you were in your 72-day bit? Were you near?
I was in Ingham County Jail.
Right. Were you near the dangerous people too? Like all the people, or were there some people that were kept away from you?
Due to it being a misdemeanor, I was with company that was a lot easier to deal with. But if you're charged with a felony, they will put you with other felons, and that gentleman who did it probably would have been in there.
Yeah. I'm glad this guy was not. Was not.
I didn't get to see any cool cases though. Guys were kind of tight-lipped. Which is understandable. You don't want to get too in depth. You don't
want to share too much.
Yeah.
Nor do you want to ask
mind
too
your
much.
Business.
Right. Yeah.
Don't call people a bitch and mind your business. It's pretty much the two rules.
The article in the Free Press about Mel Tucker, Michigan State. I didn't love the headline. It sort of made me. I was like, "Where's this going?" Which, of course, made me read, which is, I guess, part of the point. I'll say this for Rainier: like he is not. He is an equal opportunity questioner. Like I've had many conversations with him. He is not somebody who is pro Harbaugh. Like he thinks a lot of the things Harbaugh does have been douchebaggy. And he is somebody who will question him, and he is not. You may not see it because you don't know him, and you see the articles that he does this way. And there's some articles he's done about Michigan State that I haven't agreed with, or I haven't agreed with the tone, or I thought were unnecessary. But he is not somebody who is a fan of either place, and nor does he give two shits about the idea of the blue wall or one over the other. Is he scared of Michigan or anything like that? So that let me just say that.
G.E. Miller, number 1 and done with Brandon Jordan, confirms that the Ron Burton firing was a big mistake. After Burton, the run D tanked and pass rush was worse. Now the golden recruiter is gone. Number 2, the biggest concern with this MSU Hoops team is they are not boxing out on the defensive glass. Bring back the war drill. And number 3, MSU and Iowa make the deepest runs in the NCAA tourney. Purdue, Iowa, Northwestern, and Illinois have all lost their mojo.
Well, he says Iowa twice here, so something's a little off. And Iowa didn't look great today. Maybe Michigan State and Indiana is what he might have meant there. I still like Indiana to make a bit of a run. I know they didn't look great at times at home. Illinois, I don't think is going to make a run. Like I think Illinois is. You think Michigan State can beat and lose to anybody? Illinois is a team that I think can beat the best team in the country on a certain day, but is just as likely to lose its first round game and not look like it wants to be out there. They're a weird team, weird personalities. They're an argument to be a little on edge about the type of team you build through the transfer portal. But I think MSU is certainly going to be a popular pick. There's no doubt about that. I don't know, Jason. Like, you can sense that the way they finished here, people are going to, not just in our sphere, they're going to be a popular pick, right?
Yeah, but it's tough with the Big Ten when you watch these teams just beating up on each other, and they can show that they're elite and then play like complete shit on the other hand. So I don't even know. I don't know what Michigan State can do. I don't know. Okay, it could go either way.
How far, Andrew, do you think you'll have MSU in your bracket? Obviously, you don't know the matchups, but you probably are somebody who put them pretty far most years.
It's tough because I'm biased,
Really?
You fill out. That's why you fill out 2.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. No, I think they can go pretty far. The question is their 3-point shooting, is it sustainable? I mean, they've been on fire the last couple games, but how long can they do that? And I mean, as a fan, I hope they continue to do it to the end. But you would like to see that maybe they can. The fact that their Ohio State game we saw the other day, the fact that they couldn't put away Ohio State, like Jason mentioned earlier, that kind of was annoying that they kept getting pushing back to 10, 11 points, and then Ohio State would bring it back down to 6. So if they can close out games and continue shooting like they have been, I mean, anything's possible.
No, I agree. I mean, I don't know what the matchups will be, but I have to imagine, given the last couple weeks, I'll have them going around further than I might have otherwise.
Eric Larson, number 1. If the defense gets a little more connected, this MSU team will be super dangerous for a run in either tournament. Final Four is possible. Number 2, AJ Hoggard is starting to feel the game and dictate pace like classic MSU point guards. Watch out if it continues.
Peacock.
Number 3, 4 shooters above 40% from 3 and AJ at 36% in league play makes this a lethal outside shooting team. Bonus, Mady Sissoko thought I was taller until he met me.
You're not that short, Eric. I don't know what he was expecting. But no, look, AJ Hoggard's 3-point shooting has been just as important as a lot of the other things in league play because it has changed how people play him. And he said it would have to be 35%. It wasn't that early. It still isn't that for the year. But you can tell people don't sag off him the same way. They'd still rather he shoot, and he's going to get more of that because of the way the other guys are shooting. Like, you got to pick something, and you'd much rather have A.J. Hoggard shoot. And I still would be, like, I would play, we talked about the Draymond Green disrespect defense. If I was playing against MSU, I would still be inclined to completely disrespect A.J. Hoggard and just not defend him and see if he tried to shoot, if he had the maturity not to shoot Michigan State out of the game. He might just make threes if he was completely unguarded, but that would be something that I would he's so much the key to everything. I mean, you just look at that first half against Nebraska in the second half. There were a lot of guys who made shots, but the guy who really changed was Hoggard.
Ken Chu, number 1, Penn State buzzer beater, undue perversity. Husker do. MSU double bye. Number 2, go MSU hockey.
So this is some of the stuff Jason sometimes has to read. You got to be careful.
I do have an advantage. I'm sitting here like you're looking over it, and this font is great, perfect size font.
Yeah.
So I do have an advantage over you a little bit, Jason.
Yeah.
And it's hot in here.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know where to go with those, Ken. But the Penn State game was incredible. That last putback was, I mean, he didn't even really get the rebound. It went through like 3 Maryland players' hands into his, and he just laid it in. I mean, it was the luckiest thing in the world, and that started the day that allowed Michigan State to have a top 4 seed. Without that game, I mean, a lot of other things had to happen. But without that game, given that Northwestern won, Michigan State would be playing on Thursday.
Jay Riemenschneider, number 1. I believe SkyMint gives you 20% off deal even if it isn't your first visit. Number 2, Terrace Reed will lead the big in rebounding at least once in his life in Ann Arbor. Number 3, episode 719, 10-minute mark to 13-minute mark. Better get those legs ready and your stamina built up, Graham. Going to be running with the young guns and not your senior circuit.
All right, a couple things from Jay here. Number 1, SkyMint.
Sorry, it's Big Ten, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, not big.
Whoops.
First error there. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, that's not one of the things I have to edit for Jason. Usually he catches that. So that's the SkyMint. It is 25 or 20% off your first visit with the Couch and the Rube promo code Couch and Rube 20 at SkyMint. Sometimes you can get it anyway if it's your second or third visit. Often they have a deal that's better than our deal, and they'll give you that deal. So if you go to skymint.com, you can find out the nearest location information and also get whatever the best deal is. Even right now, they have some incredible deals going on at every Skymint location. I like Terrace Reed a lot, too, and I think that might be a pretty good prediction. What he's talking about, episode 719, 10-minute mark to 13-minute mark, was last June. I basically said if A.J. Hoggard didn't shoot 35%, that I would never cover Moneyball again. And then you said, well, that didn't serve our listeners or readers. So we came up with a different thing. Well, then I would play Moneyball, and I would talk to Desmond about it. Now, he has shot 36% in Big Ten play. I feel like I get a little bit of a mulligan there. I have not lost enough weight, nor have I played enough hoops to approach Desmond seriously about playing in Moneyball this summer. I would need to be in literally.
So that's what's holding you back from your dream of being in Moneyball? I mean, you're just going to play for like 2.5 minutes. I mean, how you have to be in great shape to play 2 minutes? You think they're going to put you out there for a 20 spot? I mean, I hope so. I want to go to this shit.
At some point, maybe we just sponsor our own team. Rico did it last year. We put our own team in there. You and I can start.
Jesus, Rico had his own team?
He had his own team. He was like,
this will be like above the rim, dude. We should get our own team, get our own squad.
We'll just hang out like,
Schofield to coach.
We'll hang out in the corner like Tupac and above the rim. Absolutely.
Let's do it.
That'll be great.
John, number 1, Mitch Albom and Bob Wojnarowski are 2 of the many ready to go with Weiss pieces just as soon as their editors allow. They are ready to knock the wall down as soon as they're allowed to do so. Number 2, with the knowledge that Jason may be a corporate man, one can't criticize an occasionally sporadic schedule. Number 3, Graham, kids are great. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Well, I'm a huge kids fan. I'm not going to.
So name the pros and over the cons.
Of kids?
Yeah,
I just think they're fun.
Kids.
I just think they're fun. I mean, they're exhausting. I know. I mean, I've babysat enough kids. I've been
they
around
grow
young
up
kids.
to hate you, in some cases kill you. They cost a shit ton of money.
I mean, you hope that's not the. I mean, yes, they do
you
cost a lot
imagine
of
having
money.
to send a kid like me to college? I mean, Jesus.
Well, not everybody's college material, you know?
Community college. Anyway, I'm taking up space.
You go to Kalamazoo, college is free. There's no.
I'm sorry, but kids are great. See, that's the thing. No one can ever explain to me why kids are great. I get it. I love my 4-year-old nephew, but I handled like an 8-hour shift watching him the other day, and I just was like, I'm done.
You have kids, I sound like, based on your reading.
My wife is due in a month with her first. So I can, if you guys want me back on and talk about a special kids segment, I can let you know.
You guys, you and Graham should start your own podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Babies and shit.
All right, I got the sarcasm on Albom and Wojo and the Michigan offensive coordinator pieces. Those probably aren't. Look, it's going to be beat writer work, and we'll keep going. Maybe there's an update on that below.
Gideon. Number 1, how about this, Graham? If the blue wall bet misses, we get a video like your Purdue dunk attempt for every Big Ten arena next season.
I like that. Would you fulfill that, though? That's the big question.
So I would everywhere it's possible. It's not always like at Purdue. We know where the balls are locked up in the little closet with the
bring your own ball.
Yeah, and just carrying a basketball. And there's I'm starting to think about different places. I mean, I can always get on the court afterward, and I bet you I could figure it out in at least half the arenas, and do that. And
I'd take that offer.
Would you?
Yeah, if you offered that up for a bet.
Is it the same dunk attempt every time, or would I have to try and mix it up like some
whatever you want to do?
360 work.
Rocket that bad boy off the backboard.
Trampoline.
Whatever happens after is great.
Yeah. Can you dunk, by the way, Andrew?
No, I can't.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Okay. Have you ever been able to get the rim?
In college, I could grab the rim, but never. I would not hide. I can't palm a basketball with one hand. So
that sucks.
Do you have Jack Ebling's questions over there?
Yeah, they're right here. These are Ebling's questions from 1983.
Have you ever dunked?
Repurposed. Absolutely.
How tall are you?
All right, one more from Andrew. And Andrew, we've appreciated having you here, and the Rube especially.
It's been fun. All right, last one's from Ricky Lombardi. Number 1, blue wall bet satisfied on February 13th after his firing. Per an Angelique FOIA.
It's a FOIA.
FOIA?
Yeah, no big deal.
Oh, all right.
FOIA.
Weiss informed January 19th investigation was for violations of Michigan standard practice policies, according to the docs obtained by the Detroit News. The memo said summary of relevant evidence attached, but was not included in the documents the News requested.
So I went and found this story, And I missed it as well. And I think a lot of people may have missed it because Angelique wrote it in the Detroit News, and maybe the Free Press had a story too. But this went up 2 hours before the shooting at Michigan State. So I think part of what happened was, everybody's attention was elsewhere, obviously, and you're not thinking about the Michigan offensive coordinator, all the coverages, and by the time that sort of thing comes back up again, this is a week-old story that's been sort of buried around. So, but really by no fault of their own. But this story, Matt Weiss fired for quote inappropriately accessing computer accounts. Michigan alleges is if you just and look for that, Matt Weiss, Detroit News, February 13th. There's a story, and obviously not all the details are there, but they're starting to emerge. Angelique's on it. There are beat writers on this. It is not going to be a story that is not covered. I assure you that, and I think one of the reasons we had not seen it, and it's interesting because, and I think it also goes to show how much, when it's not the school you cover or you follow, how much you sometimes don't pay attention to other things. I had not seen this either, and because we had lots of jokes about the blue wall bet and everything since then. So I think sometimes we don't have all the information, and I'm not saying that's a complete picture of everything yet, but it's evidence that they're following up on things, and it's an obvious reason why they got lost. Last question for you, Andrew. Do you believe in the blue wall?
Oh, that's a hard-hitting question.
It's a little bit better than how tall are you?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know a ton about this topic. I try not to stay negative with that kind of stuff, but it seems like sometimes there are things reported one way, and then on Michigan State, it's the end of the world. So, yeah, I guess to answer your question, sometimes I do wonder if there's a blue wall.
That's a great Tim Stout impression.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty damn good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Andrew, thank you for coming in.
Thanks,
you've
man.
proven you can read. I mean, Big Ten, FOIA, these are things you can work on that the Rube's got you beat.
They're tough.
But we absolutely appreciate it and enjoyed having you on. We will be back. See, this is where I fuck up. Fix that in post if you don't mind.
It's tough, isn't it?
We'll be back with more of your hot takes in just a sec. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Muskox High Quality Flannels.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Get your first casino deposit and sports wager matched up to $500 each. Visit firekeeperscasino.com to download the mobile app today. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, spotlightmediastudios.com.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring all of us to do better, feel better, look better, pronounce words better every damn day of our lives.
We got to do that like once a week. I love that.
It was good. Gives you a little break. Get some personality in here. And our Sunday night show brought to you by our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels. Visit gomuskox.com to check out their latest line, including the Grand Flannel Tangerine, which is on its way for yours.
So
truly.
He didn't want us to autograph the questions that you printed out?
No. He's not.
Memento of the occasion.
Hey, just left them there like it didn't even matter. Just sitting there on the table.
Threw 'em away.
Yeah. With that.
Don't blame him, though.
That was good. That was good. And look, some words that are
FOIA
tough.
is a tough one.
Big Ten when it's abbreviated. I don't always fix that.
As it replaces the I, it's always throws you off. So
yeah, totally.
All right.
You ready to dig back into these quick takes?
Of course, Nestle's Quick Hotel next. Number 1, the ESPN app on Xfinity is powered by Windows 95. 2, I've never seen a team change so dramatically from solid defense and mediocre offense to the exact opposite as this MSU team. 3, MSU season will end the next time they shoot less than 40% from 3.
I think that's the thing that scares people a little bit. I did hear the ESPN deal was not great, and not just the
audio was out.
Audio,
the studio crew had to do a play-by-play. By the way, they did a great job. It was just without
sound,
without the noise from the crowd and stuff. It kind of gave you the 2020 vibe. But
yeah.
Anyway, I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah, and I use the ESPN app for soccer sometimes. So I've had decent success on my phone with it, but. I heard people didn't like that. They missed the kissing of the court and all that stuff, the senior day stuff, and that's too bad. And I don't know how much is ESPN's fault or if it's something going on at Breslin. My guess is I was sitting next.
Won't you see it on social media or?
Well, what I mean is I was sitting next to Myron Metcalf for another game, who works for ESPN. He was he's a sideline reporter.
Yeah.
And they couldn't go to him. Like they couldn't get the audio to work. They had finally figured it out for Robbie Hummel and the play-by-play guys, but they were having all sorts of issues there. I know there was one other day with somebody else. There's some issues. So I don't know if it's something going on at Breslin with the connections or if it's ESPN specific when they've been there where they've had issues.
That couldn't happen when Dickie V's doing a game? No. Nick Palmer, number 1. We can debate all we want, but Michigan and North Carolina are getting in the NCAA tourney. 2, Alabama, Texas, Purdue, and Baylor will not make it would of the first. This you're supposed to give this guy.
Sorry,
Schofield,
I didn't edit this. My bad.
Alabama, Texas, Purdue, and Baylor will not make it.
I think it's out of the first round.
Out of the first weekend.
Yeah.
All right. There. 3, went to the GLIAC basketball tourney. Great entertainment for only $8. D2 Sports Rock.
It's kind of like minor league sports in terms of like great value for your, the difference. People really give a shit there, and it matters just as much to those kids as it does the D1 level, and there's some really high-level players.
Speaking of ESPN, like ESPN Plus, and especially when you gamble on low major basketball, it's amazing how many games are on TV, and like there's like 4 people in the stands.
Yeah.
It's like, why are they playing? And their 2 teams are like, they have a combined win total of like 4. And they're like, why are you playing these games?
It's I remember covering Chicago State games when I was in college at the old Jacoby Dickens Center before they built the new arena, and they would back then they had it was sort of a Fox Sports Chicago, which no longer exists. But when those games were on there and they were playing like UIC or something like that, they would make, including the media, the whole crowd switch sides, so it looked like on TV there was a crowd, because the problem was the side with a lot of the fans was the side of the camera was behind them, so the other side would look empty. The whole thing looked bad. Everybody
had
to
goof
switch
on that because at least you're trying. You're trying to get people to make it look like
100%.
It's just crazy. Wesley Collins next. Number 1, no need to overanalyze MSU. When they hit shots, they are good. When they don't, they aren't. Not a great recipe for larger venues and the big dance and tough rims at the United Center. 2, don't cancel things. We live in Michigan. Has to be one of the all-time bad couch takes. 3, it's a given that MSU's bracket will contain at least 3, if not all 4 of the following teams: Duke, Alabama, UConn, and Gonzaga.
That usually is the way it works for Michigan State. My take, I get, and Wesley was all over me for good reasons. It was not a safe take. Like, screw it, just go do whatever you're going to do tonight. And
so you were like telling people to drive.
No, it's not what I said. I get so frustrated with that. Like and part of it's I'm on the 3:00 meeting at work, and one of our guys like, I got a weather story. This is what they're saying is going to happen, and they're saying it's snowing, and it's like not snowing. It's like they're saying it's snowing now, and I'm looking outside. It's not snowing. Like and Lansing is sort of been this place recently where we haven't gotten hit when we're supposed to get hit. And so
now you've jinxed us.
There was a little bit of just me being a little bit of a jerk with that, and it was not a greatly mature moment. I don't think I had started drinking yet. I mean, later on that night, my wife and I got in some wine, but I don't think it was at all alcohol induced either. So, my apologies.
Gavin Haas, number 1. MSU is, wait for it, heating up at the right time. This team is shooting lights out and truly coming into form.
It's starting to feel like the second weekend is the floor for this year's team. 2, trying to spin zone the Brandon Jordan loss is difficult, but I have faith in Mel Tucker to make another home run higher. His loss will affect recruiting almost certainly, but I also have faith that Tucker can still make recruiting reach new heights. 3, the Tigers surpass expectations this year, winning anywhere from 70 to 82 games. I think there's some bats in play this season. The pitching staff is becoming healthier and more seasoned, and A.J. Hinch is still a top 5 manager in baseball.
You're really positive from Gavin. I like it.
You're on the same track with him for the Tigers, right?
I don't know. I just have a feeling
hope you guys are right. I mean,
things seem to seesaw, right? I feel like last year was a year there were high expectations and they just shit the bed. And I feel like this year with zero expectations.
There was high expectations last year.
Well, we thought they were going to be competitive. We thought they might be
batting fourth.
We thought they might be a mid-70s win team. The over/under was like 77 or something. I don't know what it was. It was way. It was yeah. I don't know. I'm a little hopeful.
I hope you guys. I don't know. And then we're hoping. And then we have 82 win season. Yay.
I do think the floor is lower than the second weekend. I mean that is a little bit of spin zone, but there's definitely a way to lose before.
The roof is the ceiling, says Michael Jordan.
There you go.
Chris Fletcher, number 1. The Big Ten tournament is as wide open as it's ever been. Going to be a wild one. 2, basic rebounding fundamentals will determine how far this MSU team goes in the NCAA tourney. And 3, it'll be a travesty if the first play of next season isn't an A.J. Dakar baseline lob a la Cleaves to Mo Pete.
Yeah, I do think Cohen Carr is going to be a fun player to throw lobs to. If you've seen any of his highlights, if you haven't, and I would.
They're awesome.
Pop a Sky Mint gummy, pull up some Cohen Carr YouTube, and you'll have yourself a good night. Even if you're not a Michigan State fan, it's a good way to watch it. The one thing I'm disappointed in this Big Ten tournament, I do think it's going to be wild and wide open because I think there's some desperation with good teams who are desperate, who don't know they're in. The teams like Penn State that probably did enough today to get in but don't know and don't want to be in the play-in game. Michigan, I just talked about, quality team, needs to win games. And you don't often get quality teams like that's the depth of the Big Ten, right? And that's going to be really cool.
So if you're saying they're a quality team and they have the record they have and might not get in, so isn't this on Juwan Howard then?
Some of it, though, is on the Big Ten, and some of it's on having young guards. And, yes, some of it's on Juwan Howard. They've underachieved, I think, in terms of the way they finish games. But that sometimes becomes your DNA. Michigan State, one of the last times they were in the NIT when I was a teenager, they had this team that blew all these games, including their NIT first-round game at Oklahoma in, like, 93 with Respert and as a sophomore and things like that. Like, Pig Miller was on that team. There was good talent on that team. And it became their DNA. They blew like 10-point leads. They blew a 17-point lead that year to Iowa with 5 minutes to go. That became their thing. And then it gets in your head. And that's what you don't want. And I think Michigan, young players who are not finishing games, and now they don't know how to. And so if that's what keeps them out of the NCAA tournament, so be it. The Central Michigan loss truly might still be the thing that bites them. I'm just saying they're playing a lot better than most teams that are in the NIT. Not that they would win the NIT, because I think they have zero motivation if they actually wound up in the NIT, to the point that I don't even know if they'd want to play in it. The one thing I'm disappointed in this Big Ten tournament is I love conference tournaments, and I love being there all week. And with Michigan State not playing till Friday, I don't know how much of it I'll see until Friday. It'll still be a fun weekend, but it won't be the week. It starts so late in the week, finishes Sunday. Like, I was kind of looking forward to them playing Thursday, but you may fix that in post so people don't get pissed off.
You should tweet that out. Chris Fletcher, number 1. The Big Ten tournament is we read that. Plus size softball dad. Number 1, happy you won your bra bet. 2, don't know if Brandon Jordan was a good coach, but I think he was good for recruiting. No belief Tuck will be able to replace him with a competent hire. 3, MSU will be seated 2 lines lower than you think they should be.
Well, these are depressing from plus size softball dad.
Well, his number 2 is correct because it's coming where my hot take was, but if Tuck is going to replace him, who's the big name? But Jordan only came to light because he did come to Michigan State and did what he did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Brandon Jordan wasn't a big name till he was hired.
Right.
Like, I didn't know who Brandon Jordan was before he was hired, and we learned more about him.
So maybe there's another guy out there.
Totally. That's what I mean. A lot of times you don't know who these guys. We don't live in that world, and we're not as familiar. I mean, I'm sure this was not something that was wanted by Mel Tucker. I'm sure he would have loved to have him for another couple of years. But this was always a risk because he'd gotten a lot of pub. He was good at publicizing himself. And you respect that. And he was good at marketing himself. And he'd had a tough road to get respect. So I also respect that as well, and I am very happy to have won.
What was Rico's team name, like team name in Moneyball?
I don't know if
remember?
they got to choose it or if it was Desmond who chose it, but he was he was part of a sponsorship of a team. We could.
It was the Rico Beard.
No,
team?
It was like Team Mango or Team something like that. But we could. It would be awesome to have a Couch in the Roof Moneyball team.
I would totally be in. Yeah. Brad Korpolski. Do we have to recruit?
Well, I would. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, Desmond. I would talk to Desmond about making sure we were stacked.
Can we get Cohen Carr? Brad Korpolski next. Number 1, Izzo needs to have Hogard watch the 2019 Cassius versus Duke on repeat this postseason. 3, please counter all the defensive screen hedges that drive our guards out to the effing logo with a hard roll or something. 3, this is becoming the best three-point shooting team I can remember.
Certainly at Michigan State. I was trying to think about that, and I'll have to go through some of the numbers here, but of teams I remember that just were, I mean, there were teams in 2016, Bryn Forbes, Matt McQuaid, Denzel Valentine were all high-level three-point shooters. But that was, early Kenny Goins. He wasn't a shooter back then. He became a really good shooter. But, there have been teams that – but the addition of Jay Nakins in not just the percentage, because he had been shooting a pretty good percentage most of the year, but the volume and the moments and the spots he's hitting them and all of – I mean, they were 12 for 20. And the other day, after going 12 for 17 in the second half against Nebraska, after going 11 for 13 overall against Iowa, that's some ridiculous shit.
Matt Venny next. Number 1, Ohio State Hoops proves Graham's point that MSU and even Michigan are unique from other athletic programs. We get to enjoy most of the year with joy and optimism from multiple sports, while other programs only get 4 months of joy and 8 months of ass. 2, the lack of popularity from leagues like the XFL and USFL suggests fans care more for their alma mater and favorite franchises more than sport of football, gambling notwithstanding. 3, if Mel Tucker can't find a way to hire and maintain a consistent coaching staff, his program will never get off the ground and will be destined to fail.
These are really good from Matt Venny. These were hot take of the day worthy for sure.
Number 2, though. But the lack of popularity. So what do they need to do? What blows my mind is there's a lot of money on the table, and these guys are talking about the XFL and the USFL. Does anybody bring up the fact that you're going to need fucking good players?
That's it.
You know what I mean? Ever at all? Did they talk about it? Or they're like, oh, you know what? Paxton Lynch will really fucking pack the seats.
Yeah, you got to go get talent. You got to compete for talent.
But it's happened before. They've done this before. What are you're just putting out the same fucking product.
And there's not enough money to pay guys to really make them think. The ideal guy would be, take Antoine Randall, for example, who was a great quarterback at Indiana and wound up being a really good NFL receiver for a while, but probably wanted to be a quarterback. But that wasn't what he was going to get to do in the pros. And you go get a guy like that and say, yeah, you'll be the face of our league. I will watch Antoine Randall every week. The other thing is, though, you're right, and this is just one thing they started too early. They have to recognize, yes, we just lost the NFL, but most of us are a little bit cyclical as sports fans. If you give us that much of the NFL, we're not missing it instantly. We're cool with March Madness. Start it after March Madness.
Absolutely.
But
I was talking to my friend Jordan about it, and he was saying that maybe if there were some regional team you can root for, and there's Michigan players, Michigan State
Panthers.
players. But I'm saying, are you going to get the Michigan State, Michigan players and have local guys that you can watch and want to watch? Because people would watch that, right, from your university if you had a bunch of guys.
A little bit better chance. They tried to do that with one of the leagues a while back, where it was like you were going to be people that were at least affiliated with the state, whether you played high school ball, their college ball, whatever it was. And that league, like many of these
wasn't
failed.
that all in Alabama though?
No, this is 10 years ago when they tried this. Ty Streets had a team. I don't know. It was way back in the day. But you
can't compete with the NFL.
Well, and the problem is ultimately we care about our teams, our schools. We don't care as much about the players. The school creates the value.
But guys like me, we have to sit there and do it all season long for college football and the NFL. When those seasons are over, you kind of have to do something with significant others. And that's where you're screwed.
Yeah, you need a little bit of a break here. Running a season April through July would have been the way to go, or that would have been just a better way to do it. I'm with you on look. I think Michigan State's got something that's unique. Michigan does too, where Ohio State doesn't get this because, and they've had other good basketball years, but they just don't care enough. They don't care enough about hoops to truly get the enjoyment and the feelings that you get at Michigan State during a successful basketball season.
From the woodshed, number 1, Tyson Walker is the Spartan Mamba. 2, a long take. Always my favorite. Our defense.
Hold on, I was going to put this in the ones we gave to Andrew, but it's actually not that long. So I was like, oh, he can handle this.
Our defense is our biggest liability going into the NCAA tournament. We let 3 out of the last 4 opponents come back and either tie or win the game. I'd feel more confident about making a deep tourney run if our defense didn't look like our secondary at times. And 3, holy hell, Groovy Donuts are amazing.
Appreciate you, Woodshed, and they are. Yeah.
So good donuts.
Without question, I like donuts.
Unbelievable.
The defense has not been as locked down as it has been, but I also think some of it's been the teams they've faced, some of it's been the shots that have been made, where the games have been, and but it will be interesting to see if MSU can really lock somebody down when they have to. And Michigan State's been hot, but I also think some of their opponents have hit shots. And if you go back and watch, I'm not saying you should watch the Ohio State game again, but I'm just saying there were shots hit by guys who aren't hitting those shots regularly, and they hit some of them.
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
Kurt Wisniewski, number 1. The Seahawks are smart, locking down a defensive specialist like Brandon Jordan for their team. 2, the schedule played by MSU basketball has prepared them to win the Big Ten tourney. And 3, a Big Ten team will finally win the NCAA tournament this year. It will be Northwestern.
That is a hot take, Kurt. Appreciate you for that.
That's crazy hot.
That would be fun. I would actually enjoy watching Northwestern win a national title. That would be
why? It would be the same when they made a run how many years ago when we had to see Julia Louis fucking Dreyfus and any other MFer that went to Northwestern.
Well, that is true.
And it got old after a while, and it was like, ugh.
I forgot how much I hated Northwestern media. But the other
Northwestern kid crying his eyes out. It's like, come on.
Yeah, Northwestern media would get very annoying. All the Medill kids who, I mean, that's not a badge of honor, by the way, that your daddy paid for you to go to Northwestern.
Wow.
Apologies to anybody who went there.
Tweet that shit out.
Not a fan. My favorite thing to do when I was at Columbia College Chicago as an intern for Pam Zeckman in the investigative unit at CBS Chicago was run circles around the interns who were grad students at Medill. It was so much fun, and the fact that they trusted me more than them. It was. They went. They were just so average, so fucking average. Anyway, sorry,
Steven. That's a story worth telling.
That is a story worth telling. Thank you. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. Unbelievable place to tell your stories about how, kids from Northwestern soccer, whatever
circles around kids,
whatever it may be, whatever old tales you've told a million times that your wife doesn't want to listen to. Tell somebody else at the bar at Midtown Brewing Company. Somebody there will listen. Great cozy vibe after work. Amazing date place. I mean, it really is. It just a lot of character. Terrific menu. Wonderful beer selection, and Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
Stephen Douglas next. Number 1, Brandon Jordan and the recruiting of the defensive line was one of the few things giving me optimism about the state of MSU's football program. Did he just want the NFL, or was he expecting to be defensive line coach at MSU? I'm assuming he will have to stop working with his other NFL clients at the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, this is the interesting part. His business was he had all these clients, and he won't be able to work with them once he's in Seattle. Maybe that's part of the deal, and in the summer he can do some stuff, but I can't imagine he can. I imagine it's all the Seahawks. That's why they're paying him. Maybe Michigan State. I don't know if there's some sort of deal where he could do a camp back there still. I don't know. My guess is not. This is probably it, and you got what you got out of him, and it certainly was worth the shot. I think if you're Michigan State, you're just hoping to get him for longer. I think I don't know anything about wanting to be the defensive line coach because that's not what he's going to be at Seattle. I'm sure at some point he wanted to be that, but you got to, you got to kind of earn that beyond the pass rush specialist thing, and maybe at some point that would have been him if he wanted to stay at Michigan State.
Goddamn Pete Carroll. Scooter Tramp next. Number 1, with the lights down on another Breslin Center sports season, why is it concerts seem to be the thing of the past? Event Center seems to now be defined as an insurance seminars, jobs fairs, and bar exams. Was nice to not have to drive to Grand Rapids or Detroit occasionally.
Yeah, it does seem like there used to be more concerts at Breslin than there are now, doesn't it? When we were growing up,
is the sound bad?
I don't think so. I mean,
because I know that the sound was bad in the Palace though when they had concerts there.
Really, I thought they had great. I saw Springsteen twice in the Palace.
I saw Springsteen there, but I was so high up I couldn't tell whether or not it was good or not. But
I mean, I saw Jesus Christ Superstar once at the musical at the Breslin Center when I was a teenager. So that's like something. Yeah, and I saw.
Did you cry?
I did not. It's a great musical. But I saw All for One, by the way, in 1995.
Wow.
You talk about that was a weird show, by the way. I mean, I've never seen that many guys who looked really old, who are probably younger than me now that I think about it, younger than me now. But when I was 15.
Standing next to you?
No, but with very young girlfriends. It was a little pervy. It was a little concerning. And if you don't remember All for One.
How old were you?
I was 15.
So you were judging people how old they were? You were checking IDs?
No, I was just like
That
in
guy's
there
a
going, yeah, I mean, it was a little, it's like, that guy looks 40. She looks my age. I don't know what's going on here. Not a huge, that happens sometimes at these events. But yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It would be nice if they had more concerts.
Kevin from Rochester Hills. Number 1, Jaden Akins will lead MSU to the Final Four. 2, Iowa sucks ass and Fran is the worst coach in the country. And 3, golf needs a shot clock.
Golf and a shot clock.
It'll never happen.
No. They do have a clock. You have to keep up with a certain pace of play. You get penalized otherwise for that. So,
and there's kind of isn't it police through the kind of the players that give shit to the really slow guys?
Yeah, no.
I mean, these guys are putting for millions of dollars, by the way.
Yeah, and there is a clock. I mean, they have to. I mean, I
gotta say, I kind of like it, especially when you sprinkle some bets. You can kind of do other shit, come back, check in on it.
I mean, I like all different sports for different reasons. Golf is a different pace than other things, and I like it for that.
Yeah,
I like that. I mean, baseball to me. I mean, there are things I'd love to see them improve in baseball. But when I turn on a baseball game, I do want it to go faster than like stepping out of the box 6 times. I love that you see what Max Scherzer's doing, where like you can only step out of the batter's box once. So once a guy stepped out, he stares at him, and he threw it right away. And I love that sort of gamesmanship, and I think that's going to be good for the game. But when I watch a baseball game, I'm not looking to be out of there in an hour and 10 minutes. That's not my goal.
And I heard Buster Olney interviewed and saying that the players have started getting used to it, and even if you take the clock away, guys are just automatically.
Eventually, it won't be an issue. I wouldn't mind. Like, I would hate to see a postseason game decided on a pitch clock violation. Like, I wouldn't mind. There's enough intensity in the postseason.
But like you said, go ninth inning, you can't.
Right, you can't.
Ninth inning on, you can't.
No pitch clock.
Pitch clock.
I don't know. I just think there's enough.
Are we okay with that?
There's enough intensity in the final inning, in the final innings of games in the postseason. You don't need it. Like, postseason baseball doesn't need fixing to me. Postseason baseball is awesome. And it's the regular season where we need to speed things up. And I think if, like you just said, if you get people in the habits, by the time they get to the postseason, it won't be as long as it was anyway.
Kevin from Rochester Hills. Number 1, Jaden Akins will lead MSU.
I think we just read these.
Shit. No. Kevin from Rochester Hills?
Yeah, because golf needs a shot clock. It's
golf needs a shot clock. Mojo Jojo. Threw me off. Someone else reading these. Number 1, someone really needs to tell Medawar that Xmas ended over 2 months ago.
Talk to them about that.
That's probably my fault. 2, most MSU football fans aspire to be Ohio State, but would settle for being Wisconsin in the 2010s. Rose Bowl appearances, Big Ten championship appearances, 10-win teams. 3, we need to replace Charles Barkley with someone who actually watches and likes college basketball.
I love Barkley. I enjoy the heck out of that TNT crew, but I don't think the rest of that CBS crew is all that great either. But, and Barkley's entertaining, and I guess if they had the right other people, it would be okay. But Barkley just doesn't put the time in to know the sport. So it's, nor should he.
But are you really asking that out of him?
That's what I'm saying. But
you
put somebody else
have him on to speak. You ask him a question, he tells you really what you want to hear.
But they're a good college basketball. Shit. Put Robbie Hummel on there. You know what I mean? Like, I would
get Robbie Hummel enough. Sometimes you just want. I mean, really, are you really watching that pregame or halftime show looking for X's and O's though?
That's true. No, and with all the network shows, nobody's ever given you much. I mean, you think about the network shows with in the football season where they have like Phil Simms and 47 other dudes.
Yeah.
And you got
I have
Bill
a great
Cowher
idea for the Super Bowl. We should have 95 people on set
with 1 second to speak. Yeah.
Neurotic Pants. Number 1, the Izzone needs to add "Sit Your Ass Down" to its repertoire. 2, sadly, among the major sports, MSU men's basketball was the winningest team this year. It's nothing to grab your dick about. And 3, if MSU hadn't been dealing with Nassar fallout, a lot of coaches would be gone.
I mean, a lot of coaches have been replaced or have left and sort of been nudged, I think, a little bit. I mean, they've changed volleyball, softball. I'm missing somebody.
Hockey,
big one, right? So,
gymnastics.
I mean, they've
field hockey.
Field hockey they changed?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Same as sports for you.
I don't think that was it.
Sorry.
But the gymnastics team, I mean, is one of the best teams in the country and just had all sorts of meet records today. And I mean, they've been fun. I mean, there are a lot of good things going on over there as well.
JD, number 1, MSU's playing next Sunday. 2, Michigan beats Purdue in the Big Ten and gets into the NCAA tourney as an 11 seed. 3, Mel should be fired immediately because not enough of the make-or-break transfers he's brought in are going to the NFL. Get the ink ready, Graham. # Blue Wall.
A lot of sarcasm from JD there, obviously. Michigan could absolutely make a run. We've seen this sort of thing from them. The one thing that becomes like as good as they are at times, and they were great for a while against Indiana in that second half, when you don't trust yourself to finish games, and when that gets in your head, I mean, they need one to go their way. They kind of need, in certain ways, they need to win a close game Thursday to give themselves a shot to feel a little bit better about that.
Couch on fire next. Number 1, Graham wrote, the Michigan-Indiana game in Bloomington is irrelevant because both teams are 11-8, and one will finish ahead of MSU and one below. Irrelevant? We want Indiana to crush our enemy? 2, Jason, watch the women in Singapore late at night all week. I'm a junkie. Is that a porno? Or 3, if North Carolina and Michigan both miss the tournament, it will be a Schadenfreude festival day.
So the women of Singapore. Why did Jason? I'm wondering. Is this one of your shows?
Women in Singapore?
Yeah.
I mean, I have Pornhub. I don't need to watch that shit. You know how many terrible B movies I had to watch when I was younger just to wait for some like lesbian scene or something? Oh my God, dude! I put in hardcore hours.
There was nothing better than when it came up as TVMA for nudity. When you're 14, you're like, yes.
And then the ones that said that, but then it was just language.
Yeah, that was worse.
Wait, what?
You gotta wait 2 hours.
And then you still don't believe it, so then you sit 2.5 hours through the worst dialogue. I mean, you probably it's probably shaped your whole Hallmark card thing. But anyway, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
All right, Tucker Carlson, number 1, missing MSU versus Ohio State because I was on an island beach in Florida was totally worth it. Good dub, boys. 2, humble brag. 2, in Florida with my mom who went to Indiana. Hopefully they kick Michigan's ass tonight. So
they went in overtime.
3, doing the 22-hour drive to Florida with no stops is totally worth it.
Are you a no-stop guy if you're going 22 hours, or are you spending the night somewhere?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, we did with Cody. We did that to Wyoming, and it wasn't even close to 22 hours, but we drove 10 hours, stayed somewhere, and then did the other 11. I mean, I don't know. That's unless you have cocaine.
Skymint might be the better way. But
yeah, but I'm saying I think I would need to go 22 straight hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some cocaine.
Yeah, for sure. Being on an island beach in Florida is always the play, even if you miss a basketball game for sure. You missed Sunshine Spartan.
I did. What'd I read? Oh, Sunshine Spartan number 1. Spartans will make the Sweet 16. 2, I think Houston finally gets a championship this year. 3, Graham, I sent you my son singing You'll Be Back from Hamilton. Let me know what you think. Broadway or bust?
I got to find this. Sunshine Spartan, I could not find where you sent me this, but I will keep looking, whether it's a DM or an email somewhere, or maybe if it's an email to my work email, sometimes that gets put in a spam folder or something like that.
So if the kid sucks, are you still going to say Broadway? I mean, it's pretty harsh. Broadway or bust. You can be like Simon Cowell on the kid.
I don't think he would send if he didn't think the kid was at least good, or at least young and cute. Like a young, cute kid is sort of a fun thing. You know what I mean?
Huh?
Have you ever seen what? Oh, Jesus, that's awful. Can we fix that? Thanks. That's the worst. That's the worst.
All right.
Yeah.
Hans Jurgen. Might as well go to him, huh?
Yeah.
Number 1, Graham shouldn't be in town on weekends covering MSU. 2, before the game, he saw me at Dunkin' Donuts and beat me with a 12-inch concrete dildo.
What was I doing?
What is this show? 3, strangely, bystanders cheered him on. And bonus. Ha ha ha, Iowa. Your senior day was ruined by your miracle comeback. Means nothing. We finished ahead of you in the end. Victory for MSU.
It was weird to be in town on a weekend this year. Like Michigan State played 6 or 7 straight weekends on the road, and it just became the thing I did. It's the weekend.
Pack up and was pissed.
Yeah, she actually, I think, got used to it.
I had a great week. I had the trial.
She was stunned that I was her parents were visiting last night, and she was stunned that I was going to be around. She planned the whole thing just assuming I was done, that I had to work, that I had to cover a game. She didn't know what city it was going to be in or anything. And I said, no, I'll be back. I'm just going to do like a quick takes column and update it. It's a home game. A lot of things changed the next day.
I thought you were leaving.
Yeah, that was sort of. But she was happy to have me there to talk to her father-in-law and keep people company.
Of course. Jake Hawkins, number one. Great win by MSU on another senior day, but what a shitty way for it to be ESPN's last broadcast at the Breslin Center. Last 7 minutes of the audio cut out, and the guys in the studio had to call the rest of the game. I mean, what a joke. 2, all of the basketball game success was suddenly overshadowed Saturday by the news of Brandon Jordan leaving Mel Tucker's staff to join the Seattle Seahawks. Was hoping he'd stay. Was hoping he would stay to keep developing guys he recruited. I'm starting to think MSU football can't catch a break. 3, I agree with Jason that the CW network would have been a better option for the Pac-12, especially since one of the original programs is a football one and based on a true story. Heard you guys talking about about TV shows on Friday. Now, have you both not given Yellowstone a try yet?
Jake's always asking about Yellowstone, and I'm still yet to do it. I really haven't. Have you done Yellowstone?
No.
I'm probably not.
Never will. No.
I'm probably not, Jake. And it's not that I don't have some level of interest, but I'd say 80% of what I watch like that I watch with my wife, and I don't think she has any interest. So
I tell you what, I have a 5-hour flight. If they have it on there, I'll give an episode a try.
Give a shot, yeah.
Why not?
That might be a good way to do it. Yeah, no, I feel bad for people who wanted to. I mean, it sucked for ESPN. You said they did a good job at the end.
The best that you can do, but I've never seen that. I've seen video go out and stuff like that, but I don't know what happened to their microphones.
Yeah, and one thing we got to be a little more aware of, too, I think is, and I'm usually working on quick takes, so can't do it, but maybe other people are doing a decent job of recording it. But the senior day stuff is after the broadcast. And a lot of people don't get to see that and would like to see that stuff.
But doesn't Channel 6 and WILX have coverage?
Yeah. They
go to their website?
And lots of people are tweeting it out. I'm sure it's out there. It's just not coming from me.
And Tyrone Couch, number 1, Brandon Jordan, ouch, or F us all. 2, Graham's Brabet, only 19 wins, but the Minnesota game got us out of seeing it, right? When a game is canceled, does the betting over and under get canceled? Serious question. I'm too poor to bet. 3, are people that don't read the post but put questions instead of hot takes the biggest idiots? This is my second time that I know of.
Appreciate you, Tyrone, at least calling yourself out. We don't mind. I mean, I try not to put those people too high up, but sometimes people get confused because we're asking a lot out of you, and we appreciate you guys participating. Yes, if a game is canceled, the bet is canceled.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, they don't. And if a game even moves days, any bet is canceled. I learned that the hard way early on with a bet that I thought I'd won, and did not. Illinois football bet several years ago that did not pay out. And I was all excited about. Anyway, that stuff happens. We appreciate all of you producing, taking part,
and reading.
And reading. Andrew, we appreciate you reading. And Jason,
yeah, man,
appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Thanks to Skymint, and of course Muskox high quality flannels. Go to gomuskox.com. You can use the promo code CAW15 for $15 off, and go to skymint.com for Skymint. Midtown Brewing Company, we appreciate you as well. Hopcat,